Hey guys, Naders here, and last week I wrapped up the movie section of my Multiversus wishlist. It has been 6 weeks since I announced this series, and the support and feedback I have been given is amazing. Huge thank you to everyone who has stuck around to this point. For today's video, I've selected 6 characters from TV shows that I think should be included in Multiversus. My first pick was a no-brainer. He is the most requested Multiversus fighter and is bound to get in the game. And really, he deserves it. That character is Ben 10. Ben 10 is a series that has been going on for a long time. I myself am not very familiar with it, but I watched a few episodes as a kid, but never really anything more than just one episode here and there. That being said, he definitely deserves to get into this game. But how would he work in Multiversus? Well, I've created character cards for every single character of the series. They are based off of the ones from the Multiversus website. Here's the one that I made for Ben. Towards the left, you can see the special moves I chose. These two moves being Gun Blast and Omnitrix Select. I think that Ben should start each round as his regular self, having his own moveset. Gun Blast being one of these moves. In one of the Ben 10 shows, he is seen shooting a gun, and it could be a move in Multiversus. But the other move, Omnitrix Select, is able to be used and transform into one of Ben's alien forms. I don't really know how many forms he would have, maybe 2 or 3. Each one of these forms would have their own set of moves. Maybe there could be an alien for each class, Bruiser, Assassin, Mage, and so on. He would be a ton of work for the devs, but if he is pulled off correctly, he would be a fantastic character, and I would absolutely love to see him. The second character I chose is Yogi Bear. Currently, we have some pretty iconic animated characters in Multiversus. Characters such as Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, Taz, and so on. With the exception of Bugs, Yogi is arguably just as iconic as most of the characters I just listed. He has been around for decades and should totally be added into Multiversus. Here's the character card that I made for Yogi. The 2 special moves that I chose are Picnic, Basket Whack, and Arrow Shoot. Yogi's goal is to always steal picnic baskets, so why not let him use it in Multiversus? The second move, Arrow Shoot, comes from one of the intros of his shows. He shoots a bow and arrow to get some food. Maybe he could do this in Multiversus, minus the food of course. But what if he shot something other than an arrow? Well, over on Twitter, the user known as the Power Plumber has created an amazing concept for Yogi. I totally think this is exactly how Yogi should work in Multiversus. Power Plumber writes, "Who is always on the spot? Yogi Bear." My vision for Yogi Bear is as a support character doing what he does best, stealing picnic baskets from the other team. Utilizing Yogi's abilities, Yogi can hold up to 2 baskets at a time. Yogi can obtain baskets in a variety of ways and use them in different ways as well. Yogi utilizes a homemade bow and plunger arrow to pilfer those delicious baskets. By firing his neutral special, Yogi can hit the button again and give them a yank in his direction. After a slight pull, a basket will pop out and enter Yogi's possession, and the enemy will receive slight damage. I personally think that this is a fantastic idea, but the concept doesn't even stop there. Ever the inventive bear, Yogi's down special causes him to build a tricked-out picnic table with a springboard. If the enemy walks over this, they can take slight damage, and the picnic basket is launched from them into Yogi's possession. This allows for combo potential. Yogi can place a table, then shoot his plunger arrow and yank the enemy into the table, thereby gaining 2 baskets at once. So, judging by this, it seems like the enemy would start with a certain number of baskets, or maybe even unlimited. I'm not sure what the Power Plumber's thoughts were about that. This is still not the end of the concept, though. Yogi can also utilize his bow as an extra option for maneuverability. Yogi can shoot an arrow into the out-of-bounds area and swing side to side depending on the angle the arrow is shot at. For example, if shot from the left, he will swing to the right. While swinging, Yogi is still eager to swipe more picnic baskets. If Yogi collides with an enemy while swinging, they take damage and he swipes a basket from them automatically. What I wonder about this idea is if he could control his height on the rope. Would he be able to slide further down on it? It seems like a very fun idea. Finally, Power Plumber states that Yogi can only hold up to 2 baskets at a time. One of the things Yogi can do is use the basket to heal himself or a teammate. Doing so will use the basket up, freeing up space for another. Alternatively, Yogi can use the basket to augment his normal attacks for more damage. One basket can be utilized for a combo or one charge move, after which it is used up, giving Yogi space for another. If Yogi takes 3 hits, one of his baskets will break, freeing up a basket space. I designed this intentionally to prevent players from hoarding baskets and ensure the constant gameplay loop of Yogi stealing baskets and supporting his ally. Again, this whole concept was made by @thepowerplumber on Twitter, not by me. I think that this concept for Yogi is amazing, and I had to include it in the video. It would be such a neat idea for a support role, and it would be so unique. It also fits Yogi's character super well, and I'd love to see it in the game. I'll include the Power Plumber's Twitter in the description if you'd like to go check him out and give him a follow. The third character I chose, or actually characters, are the Animaniacs. The Animaniacs are currently the 5th most requested fighter according to the Multiversus most requested characters spreadsheet. Their nickname is literally the Warner siblings. You're telling me that there is a fighting game made up of primarily Warner characters and the Warner siblings wouldn't be included? It seems like such a missed opportunity and way too much potential wasted if they weren't added. Here's the character card that I made for the Animaniacs. The special moves I chose are the Mallet Swing and Pun Gun. The Pun Gun is a ray gun that can be seen in an episode of the Animaniacs. I think that it would be a fun move for Multiversus. The second move I chose was Mallet Swing. This comes from a segment where all 3 of the Animaniacs smash a mallet downward. And if you are wondering how I envision them to work, well, that's a great question. Personally, I'd love to see them be a 3-in-1 fighter, similar to Tom and Jerry, and just add in another character. They could maybe work together to fight their opponents, and certain moves could be done by certain Warners. Maybe Dot is the one who shoots the pun gun, while the other Warners stand back and do nothing. Or, hear me out, maybe for the mallet move, they all 3 use the mallet. Maybe it could even be a charge move, where if you press it normally, then only one of them uses the mallet. But the longer you hold the move, the more Warners will join in. So if you press it normally, maybe Wacko is the one who uses it first. If you hold it for like half the charge, maybe then Wacko and Yakko will do it. And if you fully charge the move, then all 3 of them will hit the mallet downward. This could make them a very fun character, and I think I'd like this better than the alternative of switching between all 3. Either way, whether all of them are included in one or they are switched between, I think that they deserve to be in Multiverses. The fourth character I chose is kind of a loophole character. That character is Spinel from Steven Universe. See, I say loophole character because technically she first appeared from the Steven Universe movie. So it could be argued that she is a movie character instead of a TV show character. However, she has appeared in a couple episodes of the Steven Universe show, so I think it counts. Steven Universe itself is a TV show, and if I were to pick a rep, I'd choose Spinel. I think that the potential for a stretchy assassin seems way too cool not to add. Here's the card that I made for Spinel. The 2 moves that I chose were Scythe Swipe and Rock Slam. Rock Slam comes from a scene in the Steven Universe movie where she slams a rock onto Garnet. I think that this could be a powerful move in Multiverses, dealing damage if you get hit, but a lot of damage if you get caught underneath it. I chose Scythe Swipe because I envision her primarily using her scythe for most of her moves. Her elasticity has to be shown somehow though. It's too neat of a mechanic for it not to be used. It could even be shown like it was in the episode called Homeworld Bound. She turns herself into a propeller thing and catches Steven when he's falling. Maybe she could do something like this as a recovery. The potential Spinel has is pretty nuts, and even though Steven Universe already has 2 reps in the game, I think Spinel would bring new mechanics and be a lot of fun. The 5th character that I chose is Ted Lasso. For a while, I thought that Ted was owned by Apple due to it only being available through Apple TV. But I have a couple things to show to prove that he is in fact owned by Warner. First, let's go down to my Funko Soda collection. So, you may be wondering what my Funko Soda collection has to do with this at all. But if you look, so there's some Warner Brothers characters. There's Gizmo there, Edgar Allan Frog Sloth, Pennywise is down there. But there's also Ted Lasso. So if we look at Edgar Frog, just for example, if we look at his can, it will show the licensing. So if you look, there's the Warner Brothers Shield, the Lost Boys, blah, blah, blah. If you look at Ted Lasso, up here, Warner Brothers and Universal. Nothing to do with Apple. So somehow that means that Warner Brothers has the licensing to Ted Lasso, which probably means that he could end up in Multiversus. Along with that, if you simply Google search the owner of Ted Lasso, Warner will be the name you are given. According to Wikipedia, Warner is actually the co-owner. Either way, I think that the devs would be able to add Ted Lasso fairly easily due to the co-ownership. But how would Ted even work? Well, let's take a look at my character card. The two moves I showed are Dart Throw and Lead Tasso. Dart Throw comes from a scene where Ted is playing a game of darts, which he happens to be pretty darn good at. I think that he could have an aimable dart projectile. Now, Lead Tasso is interesting. In Ted Lasso, Ted has an alter ego called Lead Tasso. Lead is a much meaner version of Ted. I think that maybe in Multiverses this could be shown. I think that Ted should spawn in as regular Ted. Maybe all of his moves would be him accidentally damaging his opponent, showing Ted's good side. But maybe he could have a move where he turns into Lead Tasso and all of his moves are different from the normal Ted and intentional. Maybe Lead could deal more damage, but Ted could have more knockback or something, giving both versions of Ted some sort of advantage. And I think this would make Ted a really fun character that could have some really unique combos. He could be really good for someone who is able to master him. I don't think many people think of Ted when they think of characters, but Ted Lasso is such a big series and shouldn't be flying under the radar in my opinion. For the final character of this video, I am definitely extremely biased. I mentioned in my announcement video of this series that I have created a For Multiversus account on Twitter. That account being made for Elf. Ever since Multiversus was announced, I have wanted Elf for this game. I am a huge Elf fan and I really love the series. And the official Elf account on Twitter has actually already interacted with the Multiversus community. He first followed me back on Twitter, which must be how we got his attention. Then he tweeted yo and added WB Games, Tony, Player First Games, and the Multiverses themselves. Then finally he retweeted some fan banners and said if Samwise joins Multiversus before he does, he's rage quitting. Does this mean that Elf will actually be added? Probably not. But it definitely gives me hope. Warner distributed the original Elf TV show, so they have been tied to the series. Elf has also been seen alongside Bugs Bunny. It came from the movie called Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue. A few Warner characters are seen in the movie, Bugs being one of them. The two moves that I've selected for Elf are Cat Chase and Sax Blast. Cat Chase comes from the running joke that Elf wants to eat Lucky, the Tanner family's cat. I think that Elf could have a move where he starts chasing a cat in the direction the move is pressed. Maybe, depending on how you are hit by the cat, it could deal more damage. I imagine that maybe if your opponent hits the cat towards the back, then they would be launched towards Elf, dealing even more damage. The second move I chose is called Sax Blast. In the Elf animated series intro, Elf is seen using a saxophone. I think that when he plays the saxophone, some music symbols can come out and flow up, hitting opponents. I actually have made a whole moveset for Elf, and maybe in the future I'll do a video on it. Let me know down in the comments if that's something you would be interested in. I'd love to see Elf fight Bugs again, and Multiversus is the perfect game to see that happen. And that brings my TV show list to an end. I know there are so many other TV shows not mentioned in this video, and I'd like to do more videos on TV show characters in the future. These are just my picks, and if the list was based on popularity, it would be very different. What do you think of my picks, though? Do you agree with any of them? Have anything you'd like to add? Let me know down in the comments. Next week, I will be uploading my picks for video game characters that I think should be added into Multiversus. If that sounds like something you might like, stay tuned for next Tuesday. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next week.